This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We're going to do quick introductions as we have been doing during these video council meetings. So we have Councillor Janine Boulanger with us this evening. Councillor Shane Pelche is with us.
Good evening.
Councillor Ron Mamchuk.
Good evening.
Councillor Curtis Clayton.
Good evening, everyone.
CEO Mitch Duval.
Evening in the office at work.
And working in the background is our Assistant CEO Dominic Lemoine.
Good evening.
And then we have myself, Mayor Chris Ewan. Usually I sit in at the office for these meetings lately, but we had some technical difficulties with the audio. P.S. I didn't know how to use it properly, so we're going to do this from my house, and then we'll figure it out next week so I can get back in the office for the residents. So seeing all the housekeeping is in order, I will open the meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Boulanger.
Councillor Mamchuk.
Thank you. Councillor Mamchuk seconds it. And we will be voting online so everyone knows. So council, please cast your vote if it's open.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. We open the meeting at 7:02 p.m. I'd like to move on to item 2, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Pelche.
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Clayton. Before we go to vote, I'd like to move on, after we vote for item 2, I'd like to move on straight to the delegations and the public hearings. Then we go back to item 3, 4, et cetera, if council's okay with that.
Yeah, good here.
Yes.
Okay, and I just want to confirm we do have Mr. CK with us. Okay, perfect. Okay, so then I will call for the vote with those changes.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Okay, moving on, we're going to open it up for delegations. We have delegations, item number 6.1, delegation John Paul CK. If I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. 1228 Corshane Boulevard, concerns regarding incident with dog bylaw and bylaw enforcement. Now, this doesn't need a mover from my understanding because it's a delegation, correct, Mr. CEO?
That is correct. If Mr. CK could unmute his mic, I see he is in the viewing area. Or if Dominic could unmute his mic and we can begin.
It's not allowing me to unmute on my end.
Mr. CK, can you unmute your mic or put your video on for us, or both?
Maybe he stepped away, not knowing how quick this would go.
Okay, so what we'll do is, if council's okay, we will move on to the public hearings and then jump back to the delegations and give them one more chance to log on.
Good here.
Sounds good. Okay, we don't need a mover and seconder, so we'll move on to item 7.1.1, V11-2020 Voyager Internet to vary maximum height of the communications tower to 105 feet.
The application or the notice of the meeting was sent out to 100 meters of said property, actually 300 meters of said property out in the rural area. It was also sent to McDonald Planning District, the reach out manager, building inspector, council, CEO, and fire chief. It was also posted on site on the municipal board and municipal website, and a connect notice was also sent out. Mr. Mayor, as at the same time, we could hold the public hearing for C18-2020 as it deals with the same property regarding the tower. C18 is a conditional use to allow a 105-foot communications tower in a agricultural limited area. And notifications have been the same for both applications.
Thank you. Council, you are okay with hosting both public hearings for V11 2020 and C18 2020 at the same time?
Yeah, fine here.
Good
Yes,
here.
it's fine with me.
Okay, I will open the public hearing at 7:06 PM. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone online wishing to speak in favor? Dominic, is there anyone in the office that was wishing to speak in favor? Okay, is there anyone wishing to speak against? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against? Is there anyone in the office, Dominic, wishing to speak against?
Not that I'm aware, no.
Okay, was there anything received in favor or against? I apologize, I didn't ask that question.
Nothing received. Thank you.
Okay, I will do one last call in favor and against, or any general comments or questions. Okay, I'll close the public hearings at 7:07 PM. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Belanger.
Councillor Mamchuk.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Mamchuk.
We will be voting on item 7.1.1. We will deal with the variation first. And the variation reads as, therefore be it resolved that variation application V11 2020 is approved, subject to the following conditions: that the applicant must obtain a development permit from the RM of Reachop office, and 2, that the conditional use C18 2020 to allow a telecommunications tower be approved.
Thank you very much. I will open it up for debate from council. Council, do you have anything to add, comments or questions?
Nothing here.
Nothing.
Out here.
Okay, then I
Not
will call for the vote for V 7.1.1. Please cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. We will now be voting, or should I open it up for discussion, Mr. CEO first?
You will need a mover and seconder first for
Thank
the
you.
resolution on the conditional use.
Okay, 7.2.1 C18 2020 Voyager Internet 769 Path 75 to allow a telecommunications tower in an AL zone. Do I have a mover?
Councillor
Councillor
Mamchuk.
Councillor Mamchuk moved it, second by,
Councillor Clayton.
thank you very much. I'm shy a bit.
The resolution reads, therefore be resolved that conditional use application C18 2020 is approved subject to the following conditions. If yard lighting is used, the applicant shall ensure that the lighting levels do not cause any disruption or becomes a nuisance to the neighboring area or affected roadways. Any tower, high density strobe lights shall only be used during the daylight hours and red light tower marker during the evening so as to not create a nuisance for the neighboring properties. 3, applicant shall maintain the site and the surrounding area in an orderly fashion so it does not become unsightly. 4, applicant shall not ensure that any proposed building be constructed to conform all applicable building codes, fire codes, health standards, and any other municipal or provincial permits and approvals as may be required. Signage shall conform to Part 11 of the Municipal Zoning Bylaw 9/2019. Applicant shall obtain a development permit from the RM of Reachop providing construction drawings, which will include an engineered stamp. Applicant obtains a variation to vary the maximum height from 49.9 feet to 105 feet, and the applicant shall sign a confirmation letter accepting the terms of the order, and there may be site audits conducted to ensure compliance and non-compliance issues may be cause to revoke the conditional use at any time.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Okay, I'll open up for discussion from council. Anything to add or comments?
Fine here.
Out here.
Thank you. Okay, I will call for the vote. Please cast your vote on item 7.2.1.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Item 7.2.2, C19-2020-2403565 Ontario Inc. -568 Burnett Road to allow a trucking operation in a commercial general zone.
Notifications were sent out to neighboring properties, also mailed out to the McDonald Richot Planning District, Richot Manager, Building Inspector, Council, CEO, Fire Chief, also to the applicant, as well posted on site on the municipal board, municipal website, and a website connect message was also sent out.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing at 7:12 p.m. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor?
Good evening, Chris and everyone in the meeting. First I would like to thank everyone, members of the council and everybody attending this meeting for giving us the opportunity to come forward and discuss our plans for the property. And we are fully confident in whatever we presented in the business plan. It's fully authentic and we stand by it, and we will carry it out looking in the best interest of Richot and continue to create jobs in the community and participate in a positive manner. At this point, I open the discussion for further comments.
Thank you, Sonny. I appreciate that. Council, do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Schall?
I just have one question regarding the number of trucks that you are anticipating having on site. I think in your business plan you say 70 trucks. Is that correct? That seems like a lot of trucks. So I was just wondering if how you're planning on running that operation.
Thank you for the question. When we say 70 trucks, so by an acre, if you're looking at on an acre, you can fit, just for storage purposes, you can fit about 25 to 30 trucks. So there's about 3 acres of space which could be used for those purposes, but that is just merely a number. The way the operation works, it's a long haul flat deck operation that we carry out. At any given time, the number of trucks is about 30% or maximum to 40% of the entire total fleet. At this point, we are at a level of 15 trucks. That's all we have. When we say 70 trucks, that means that this is the maximum number of the spots that we can allocate to different trucks. That could be people or other carriers who are going to pay us as a rent, and they will have their spots over there. That does not mean that they will be parked over there, but all the time. It has room for those trucks, but at any given time, you will not see 30 trucks or even 40 trucks over there, because the way the schedule works for the drivers is they come, they're mostly on the road for about 2 weeks. All of the drivers, including our trucks, and if someone else comes aboard and they want to use the parking, they would follow the same schedule. It will only be hired for long haul trucking companies. The way the scheduling works is, if they come home on Friday, they get reloaded on Friday, and then they're out by Sunday, Sunday morning or so. And so 90% of the time, you're not seeing any traffic movement in and out of that area. Also, the plan is to actually rent out that space towards people who will just maybe rent the space for parking their boats or someone needs a space for parking their RVs, who are done with the season and they just want to park it over there for the good amount of like 6 months or 7 months, right, for the winter part. That would also mean that there's hardly any traffic in and out, because they're more so they're parked for the biggest chunk of the year. So that's kind of the plan for the whole property.
Okay, so would you have a guess, say on a daily basis, say like on a Wednesday, how much traffic movement would you anticipate in the day? Do you have any kind of idea?
On a Wednesday, let's put it the way the level at which we are operating right now. As I said, we only have 15 trucks. We are a budding company right now, so I would say maybe 1 or 2 with the way things are at this point, 2 or 3. Currently the size we are at. If the space is being rented to other carriers, you could be looking at maybe 10 to 15. If we reach the absolute maximum number of trucks to be parked. So that's basically a number, like 10 trucks.
Yeah.
Maybe that will be, it could be in and out, but that again, that's just merely a presumption.
Right, yes, of course. And
This is
you're
Councilor
aware.
Memchik. What's your hours of operation? Is it going to be 24
Yes,
hours a day, 7 days a week?
Yes. So if someone is coming home, in middle of the week, or even mostly it will be the Friday or something, the drivers come home after 2 weeks. Some are on the road for even 3 weeks. When they come home, they will have automated access to the yard, and they would have to find a secured place to park it. So they come to the yard, they park it, and then they will be heading home after that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Councillor Belanger, I think you were still having a couple questions.
Just a comment, you're aware that like you would be taking Oak Grove Road, I believe, to go in and out of Grand Point, right? So you would not be driving down Burnett through Grand Point at any point with any vehicles. How would you monitor that? How would you ensure that the drivers know which way to go in and out?
Well, the drivers we hire, right, as part of their orientation, we will make sure that when they come out, they take the permit, and then they're making their way towards Highway 59, and so we will ensure that it will be part of orientation, and that's majority of that's the long haul drivers. That's what their mentality is as well, because they prefer highways rather than small regional roads. And we are also implementing that it will be a company policy that if you're coming in and out of the yard, this is the route you will be choosing.
Okay. And I just have 2 more questions. Sorry. What about yard lighting? Is there yard lighting on there right now? I should know this because I live in this area, but I don't see that place at night. But do you anticipate needing security yard lighting on the space?
I'll tell you what the setup is right now. Right next door is a big trucking operation.
Yep.
Where our neighbors, I think the Keystone Western.
Yep.
They have huge lights, and basically that illuminates this whole yard as well at the night. Having said that,
Okay.
there's also lights which are attached permanently towards to the building, all 3 sides, and which is more than enough at this point. But at any given time that we see that we need more lighting for making sure that the freight is safe, anyone walking around the trucks or anyone they're safe, we will definitely enable more lighting over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And last question. Do you know approximately if this is a fairly noisy operation, or how do you see this impacting the community around you as far as noise and maybe smells or odors or those types of things?
Smells, odors, any in terms of using proper. So what we are doing is, we will be in close contact with the GFL environment. They will be providing a service if we are using the facility for any disposals for oil or anything like that. They will be providing us the professional service for disposing any lubricants, anything like that. The noise part, it is going to be a fairly quiet operation. A reason why I say that is because once the drivers leave, you will see nobody in the yard. It's everyone just in the office doing dispatch, and one odd truck inside the garage, being worked at, so in close proximity of the space. So it by no means it's going to be any noisy operation that we know. Even now, we are renting at this point in Sterling Crane. It's been a year and a half, and they have no issues with our operation. They find us a good tenant, and if needed, we can definitely provide their voting as well, saying that okay, we have been a good neighbor and a good tenant, and no noise complaints of what sort.
So is this an expansion of your operation, or you're moving your operation? And just wondering, you're just looking for more space, or?
Yes, it has been a constraint because the space has been a constraint. We're spending a lot of money for repairs, and we are trying to find good mechanic who is local, who maybe from Richard or neighboring communities, anywhere we can find, who will be on site. And anytime there's a truck issue, the key is on site, and of course during the office hours, and then they can actually work on the equipment, and we can save some money and and also grow, because right now the space is a constraint, and at the same time the cash flow is being used towards the repairs outside, and we're not being able to actually maintain a proper, like a business plan with the facility we have currently.
So you're going to be running a service operation and a paint booth, I believe it said as well. Those are obviously going to be indoors.
Yes.
The facilities that is on site right now can accommodate those operations?
As a matter of fact, it's already been approved like that. Currently the owner, he has a equipment sales business, and he already has a service facility inside. It is fully operational. It is licensed, as well as a paint booth for small jobs, obviously, and just for our purpose. If someone has a ding or dent or something like that, and we want to get it fixed, we have our mechanic. It will be inside the shop with no noise or anything, with proper coverings, and proper guidelines will be followed. At the same time, we are also working towards getting Safe Work Manitoba certified as well. But one of their conditions was, when you actually move into a bigger facility, it will give them a whole picture of what our operation will look like. So we're doing everything we can to make it a safe workplace, at the same time, keeping the environment around us a healthy one. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have.
Are there any other questions from council?
I don't know if there's anything left to ask.
Sorry, I was on a roll.
That was good. That was good. Thanks for that.
Okay, I will ask if there's anyone else to speak in favor. Online, is there anyone online wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone in person in council chambers wishing to speak in favor?
Yes, there is.
I just wanted to speak in favor of Sonny's proposal. I'm the current owner of the property. Janine, Councillor Boulanger seemed to be concerned at the number of vehicles that were going to be involved, possibly 70, I think Sonny said. I would point out that in our farm machinery business now, we have over 2 pieces of equipment on the site, and we have trucks coming in every day, and none of those trucks use Halima Drive. None of the trucks go past the intersection of Halima and Burnett Road in an all-weather highway. And we have customers coming and go to take a look, to view our equipment. So we are full retail property. What Jiffy Express, they're not going to be a retail property. They are strictly a trucking company with truck parking when they're off their long distance routes. Do any of you have any questions for me about?
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. It's and just for the record, it's Mr. Dave Gallant, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Gallant?
Not here.
No. Okay, thank you, Mr. Gallant. I appreciate that. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone in the council chambers?
No, there is not.
Thank you. Anything received in favor?
Yes, we have an email that was received from Mr. Ken Novotny. Council has a copy of that in their package. I will read it out loud for the remainder of the public. Hello, my name is Ken Novotny, and I am the owner of Gotta Go Portable Toilets at 38 Mandu Bay in Grand Point. I share a property line with Gallant Sales. It has been brought to my attention that Gallant Sales is up for sale, and there is a new zoning to change the property from agricultural to commercial. I would like to let you know that Gotta Go has no issues with the change in zoning to commercial. If you have any questions, please contact me. And just a clarification for council, it is not a rezoning, it is a conditional use as the property is a commercial general zone already.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. I appreciate that. Okay, we will move on. Is there anyone wishing to speak against that's online? Anyone wishing to speak against online? Anyone in the council chambers wishing to speak against?
Yes, there is. One moment.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's David Huey. I live at 27 Halman Drive in Grand Point, Manitoba. And I have so for the past year. I just received this notice of this hearing Thursday of this month, which is 6 days ago. I understand we're prepared for a hearing such as this. I just received this letter in the mail Thursday. I got an email the same day. There was no posting on our board, and I'm just motion to be until I have time to prepare for this hearing.
Sorry,
There wasn't enough time for me.
I apologize. You're really cutting
I'm
out.
opposed.
Sorry, hold on one second, sir. You're really cutting out. Dominic, can you switch the internet there? Like, it's very choppy. I don't know if council is having the same problem.
And yeah, I can't hear.
I can't hear
I'm getting
anything.
20%.
Will now be recorded.
Just to test, can you hear us a little better?
Yes, it's a lot better right now. Please, Mr. Hewitt, you could just restart.
I missed that. You cut out.
Sorry, if you just want to restart from where you started at the beginning, that would be great.
Okay. I received this application in the mail on Thursday, the 10th of this month. I also received an email because I'm on notification for any zoning or bylaw changes. And this is only 6 days ago. So I'm asking for this to be postponed to the next hearing date because I need time to prepare my motion against this conditional use. 6 days is not enough. I need to do some preparation for this, and My neighbors need to be aware of this. I have some neighbors here as well here today that are against it. So I need some time to prepare for this application for conditional use, as I am opposed to it. So
Yeah, I appreciate
6 days is not enough to
that.
prepare.
I'm just going to confirm that I'm getting a bunch of echo, Dominic. If you could.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Can you repeat that?
I'm just going to confirm that
Whoa.
very echoey.
Maybe everybody else turn their mics off.
Mute the TV, Dominic.
That's how we're listening. Hold on.
You should be able to mute and turn up the volume.
Is the problem you can't hear us?
No, it's very complete echo back to me.
Okay, give me one moment.
Council will be in the chambers next week. Test. Test 1 2 test.
Is it better in terms of echo-ness?
There's no echo now. Okay, I will continue. I just wanted to confirm with Mr. C, the CEO and the RM did send the notices out, and if there's any timestamps available, and the policy that the RM of Richard follows for notices sent.
Okay, Mr. Mayor. We basically follow the guidelines that the province has in their Planning Act, and subject to variations in conditional uses. I believe the section of the Planning Act is 169, whereby there's a 14-day minimum requirement to have the notices mailed out to the affected properties. In this case, I may not have a time stamp on this. However, I do have it noted that the notices were sent out on August 31st of 2020. The connect message was a reminder sent out on top of it, the requirements of the Planning Act that was sent out on September 10th. Those are the guidelines that we follow. Unfortunately, there's two factors that we cannot control when we send these out. Number one, the deliverable of Canada Post, and number two, the timing of which the people would go to their mailbox and pick up their mail. So those two items are unfortunately out of our control, but administration has followed the requirements regarding the Planning Act.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's one question I wanted to clarify. Mr. Huey, we are going to continue with the public hearing, and then after we close the public hearing, we can discuss as council if we want to table or carry on with this. So if you have anything to discuss in opposition, I would recommend you do it now.
Okay, I do. I can say firsthand from living in the area for the past 28 years, dealing with Keystone Trucking, who's currently there, that has been an ongoing issue for the neighborhood on an ongoing basis. First of all, for the extreme lighting that's in the area is obtrusive to especially my neighborhood and my property, which is fairly close to it. It is so bright that my whole backyard lights up. As the applicant said, the applicant said, the lighting from Keystone, in his own words, is so bright that it lights up his property that he's considering operating a business out. So there is extreme lighting that has to be involved with trucking firms. And the reason I say that is because if they bring in property and they get broken into, insurance companies aren't going to insure their freight unless they take reasonable steps to protect it. And by doing so, they have to have proper lighting. I worked for Arnold Brothers Transport for 5 years, and I know the trucking industry. The trucking industry is 365 days a year, and it doesn't stop. People come and go all hours of the day. The applicant in his business impact report, which I'm luckily managed to get on Tuesday, he's saying there's room for 70 tractors and 70 trailers, even more to be positioned with ease. Having said that, in his business impact means he's got the capability of putting that many tractors and trailers in there, and I'm sure that if he can, he will, because he wants parking for commercial trailers, boats, storage containers will be offered to third parties who will have the appropriate liability insurance coverage. So having said that, he's proposing to rent out space on his property for rent, essentially for storing these items, so people can come and go as they please. So that's going to add to the traffic in the neighborhood, not just the commercial traffic from the trucking operation. It's saying it's 24 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Secondly, he wants a fully operational garage repair and maintenance facility with engine emissions exhaust system and paint booth will facilitate truck safeties and minor bodywork jobs in-house. So he's doing engine emissions exhaust system, which is loud and noisy. We're already dealing with issues at some facilities adjacent to that as Sandell Automotive, where they do engine rebuilding, and we deal with excessive noise from him testing engines, so I can't see this being much different. He's offering repair services to our tenants who use our parking and outside carriers. So the outside carriers who he plans using parking and storage there, he's going to offer them maintenance facility. So that's just going to add to the traffic in the area, the noise. He wants operationals to be from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on the weekends from 10 to 4. That's for the garage facility. 6 a.m. is quite early, but in the trucking industry, if you don't know, trucks got to run all the time. So usually the garage repair facilities, some of them are open 24/7 to accommodate the owner operators and the company drivers. He's also indicated that he wants to allow them to proceed with truck sales. So he's going to have additional vehicles on his property, doing sales as well as leasing out storage space. He'd also plans on having a driving school, which he wants operational 7 days a week. That's going to entail people coming up and down the road and more people in the area. I mean, trucking is 24/7. There's no regulated hours. People come and go all day of the night. I'm also concerned about he's a flat deck hauler. He's not a dry van or a reefer van hauler. So he's hauling machinery, cargo such as lumber, heavy materials. He's obviously going to probably be offloading that equipment in his yard and storing it there. He's probably going to be reloading equipment there, chaining, dealing with the noise of a semi when it's running, the backing up beepers, high-pitched beepers that are safety, that is noise pollution. I am just extremely concerned of the added traffic to the area, the noise pollution, the excessive lighting that we're already dealing with, and all the other issues we're dealing with in the area right now. the last thing we need is another trucking company in this area, which is basically a small little commercial areas right in that corner, and then we have residential properties all around it. And for someone to say that the noise pollution isn't going to affect us or any other means is, in the country, you can hear people talking, 4 acres away if it's a calm night. I mean, sound travels very easily in the country, and that's where we are. I'm totally opposed to this. My wife are opposed to this, and I'm against it. I just don't know how to say it any other way.
Okay, I appreciate your comments. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Huey? No comments from council. Thank you, Mr. Huey. I appreciate that. Is there anyone else in council chambers wishing to speak against?
Yes, there is. One moment, please. Yeah, my name is Annette Ronald, and I live at 2741 Helena Drive, and it's a corner right across from the hydro substation. And as David mentioned, the lighting is an issue. In the proposal, you were informed, or the applicant informed us that they would let his drivers know that he would to use Oak Road as an entrance and to go to and from his site. Actually, in the last 2 months, I've noticed, and these are Keystone trucks that are actually going in and out. There have been a lot that have been going down Burnett at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they are not using the Oak Road entrance as they're supposed to. So Keystone's been there a long time, and I'm noticing it's different trucking companies, and they're using Burnett Road, which they should not be. If you're going to increase this, I mean, if Keystone can't control it, and we're having more traffic coming with the trailer tractors, I don't see how having another trucking company is going to lessen that. I think it's going to actually increase it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Is there any questions from council? Your microphone's off.
Yeah. I just have one question regarding, because I noticed you're on the mailing list for receiving. Do you know when you guys received the notice of the hearing?
Yes, I received it on the 8th.
8th of September. Okay. Thank you.
And just to make a note, August 31st, if you're looking at 2 weeks, 14 days, that would have made it September 14th and the meeting September 16th. So that would not have been appropriate time to mail that out. Just doing the math.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
The way the provincial act is the way I understand the provincial act, and Mitch, you can back me up on this, is that they have to be mailed within 14 days. Right?
That is correct. That is correct. And as I alluded to earlier, one of the things we can't control is when people pick up the mail and the deliverable, reliable service of Canada Post.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Is there anyone else wishing to speak against that's in the chambers? Okay, one last call. Anyone online in the council chambers wishing to speak in favor or against, or just any general questions or comments?
There is one in the chamber.
Okay, Dave Gallant here again, Gallant Sales. So I'd just like to speak to the comments from the lady just made here about trucks that are using Burnett Road. We've noticed that they're not necessarily Keystone trucks. They're probably most likely trucks that are going to Keystone. However, I think if we were to look closely at the signage on Burnett Road, there's There's not a whole lot there to deter truckers. And one of the real problems, okay, keep in mind, Burnett Road past Kalama is a non-trucking route. There's a sign just past our driveway, just north of our driveway at 568 Burnett Road that indicates it's a no trucking route. So trucks do not go down Halima, okay? They're not supposed to go north of Halima on Burnett Road, but there's really insufficient signage. The other thing is, and the fact that Burnett Road, the old Highway 59, hasn't been turned over from the province yet. There are a lot of the maps are not reflected in the automation, in the what do you call it, the GPS. Yeah, a lot of the GPS don't recognize the correct map. So there's truckers that are lost all the time. Okay, and that can only be fixed with more signage.
Thank you. I appreciate that,
It
Mr.
has to be a deterrent.
No, I appreciate that. I think we do have ownership of Burnett Road. You could correct me if I'm wrong now, Mr. CAO.
That is correct. The Burnett Road, Halima, and the old 59 in Ile-des-Chênes was transferred to the municipality back in August, I believe.
So I think now there's some work to do on the municipal side to ensure that the right signage is up. So that's something we can look forward to as council in the future. Any other persons wishing to speak? One last call.
Chris, this is Sunny here. Just would like to add, I appreciate the criticism, but you also have to, you just reiterated what we put down in the business plan, and we're just coming forward with this with a full disclosure here. These are possibilities. If you ask us, do we have the capabilities as of today? Do we have the finances to do it today? No. But are we standing by it? Yes, we are. To run an operation, to provide an essential service, in pandemic, it's not easy. And at the same time, we managed to keep the drivers on, did not lay off a single person, created jobs in Winnipeg and also the surrounding communities. And at the same time, we do realize that building the driver force is something that we have to do on our own. We cannot rely on other trucking schools, the way they train them and everything. And to ensure a continuous and uninterrupted service, we are taking this business plan ahead with the proposal that yes, at some point, there might be a need of having our own driving school. Does that mean it's going to be a fully, highly traffic wise and all that? Not necessarily. It's for our use. We will train people, we will keep them in house, and we will buy the trucks for those drivers because we know we train them ourselves, and they will just help provide the essential service throughout the year. Talking about the noise regarding the emissions and everything, the facility has, inbuilt equipment which goes on top of the exhaust systems. It reduces the noise. At the same time, the emissions are purified and then they're collected in some bags. And Mr. Gallen can correct me if I'm wrong. The facility is fully equipped with those things. The paint booth and everything, that's all happening inside closed walls and closed doors. So the noise going out, I don't agree with that fully because it's inside a shop, and I don't know how far their houses are, but I don't believe personally that noise is going to affect their peace or their noise levels. Air makeup system, yeah, that's the correct word for the system that's on the property, and it's fully licensed. And for any emission systems or doing any safeties in-house, that system is fully compliant and fully capable of making sure that a safe operation is being carried out.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, I will close the public hearing at 7:50 PM. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Mamchuk,
Thank you. Second.
Counselor Clayton.
Thank you very much. 7:51 PM.
Just catching up on the paperwork here. Okay, and there was nothing received against at our end.
Thank you.
Okay, so the resolution will read, once I turn the page here. Therefore be resolved that conditional use application 19/2020 is approved subject to the following conditions. 1, this use shall not be noxious, offensive, or hazardous by reason of emissions or production of odor, dust, refuse matter, waste, vapor, gas, smoke, vibration, or noise, and that this use shall not create a nuisance beyond the property's sight line. 2, there shall be no outside storage of hazardous liquids, materials, and substances. 3, the applicant shall comply with the municipal noise bylaw 14-2003. 4, applicant shall erect a solid fence according to zoning bylaw 9/2019, section 326, enclosing all outdoor storage areas. 5, any maintenance work on vehicles shall be performed within the buildings. 6, applicant must comply with the municipal zoning bylaw parking requirements. 7, if yard lighting is to be used, the applicant shall ensure that yard lighting levels do not cause any disruption or a nuisance to the neighboring area or affected roadways. 8, the storage of derelict vehicles is not permitted. 9, the applicant shall ensure that all proposed construction conforms to the Manitoba building codes, fire codes, health standards, and any other municipal, provincial, and/or federal permits and approvals may be required, Applicant may seek the help of an engineer, architect, or other professionals who are certified in these fields to ensure compliance. 10, applicant complies with the littering bylaw 5/2011. 11, any signage shall comply with the municipal zoning bylaw 9/2019, section 11. 12, applicant shall maintain the storage area for proper drainage so as to not affect adjacent properties. 13, items stored outside shall be kept in a tidy manner so to not create an unsightly appearance. 14, that the applicant shall obtain all required permits and approval from Manitoba Hydro, MTS, and Manitoba Infrastructure and Transportation. And 15, that the applicant shall provide a signed confirmation letter of terms to this order. There may be site audits conducted to ensure compliance, and any non-compliance issues may be caused to revoke the conditional use at any time.
Thank you. I'll open up for council discussion. Before we continue, there was an ask from a resident to table this. I will ask Councillor Boulanger if she wanted to add to that or give that any thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to table it for a couple of reasons. The applicant had mentioned that he had some letters of reference from his former neighbors where his business is operating out of right now. I'd like to investigate that and just to get some more confirmation on the type of business that he is running and the type of noise and lighting and smells and all those kind of things. And as far as the time to put together something for opposition, that is unfortunate. You know, we are at the mercy of Canada Post, as Mr. Duval mentioned. But it was confirmed that they were mailed out 17 days before, which is 3 days more than what the provincial act requires. But for those reasons, I would like to table it. And I have other comments too. You know, there are a lot of conditions, and the conditions are great if they're followed. But more times than not, we've seen businesses get these conditional uses and just ignore the conditions. I'm not pointing fingers here. I'm not saying this tenant is going to do that. It's just that we've seen it before and we are catching up. I understand that. We're getting a better system in place and we are trying to catch up with these conditions that aren't being followed. It's just a frustrating process. And I'm just leery on all these conditions being followed and who's going to monitor them. And is it going to be a constant thorn in the neighbor's side? And I feel for these people, and those are my comments about this whole production.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Belanger. Does anyone else from council want to speak on the topic of tabling before I have Mr. Weeb, if you could turn off your microphone, that would be great. Thank you.
Chris, can you just repeat what you said, because it was all
Yeah,
garbled?
please.
Yeah, sure. Before I have my 2 cents on the matter of tabling, I'd like the rest of council to speak what their thoughts are, if they'd like to table this or continue on.
I think we should table it.
I personally, I'd hate to see us delay this, but I mean, if, you know, the residents in the area feel that, you know, their opposition to it would be stronger or better versed with more time, I mean, I think I would side with Councillor Belanger and we can accommodate that.
Mr. Pelletier.
I'm on the fence on this one. I think they presented quite a bit for not being prepared in opposition. It's Councillor Belanger's ward, so if she wants to table it for a little bit more time and investigation, I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'll say my 2 cents now. Thank you, everyone. I think we should continue on with this. It is one resident, and we have gone with the procedures and policies set out by the province. The RM has done their due diligence by sending out the letters. If we act upon tabling this, it leaves us open for the next resident to do this, and we stall and we stall and we stall. I think council needs to put this into their hands. We need to make the decisions. We have heard from the residents of their concerns, their complaints, some things they might want to have changed, et cetera, et cetera. So I think council needs to do the right thing and continue on, because we are just A, stopping a business from operating, or B, stopping a business from looking elsewhere to operate. So that's my opinion. So I will do a guess a vote. We'll go around the table here. Councillor Belanger, you would like to table this?
Yes, and I just want to reinforce the reason for tabling. It's more so that I can get those reference letters, or those comments from his neighboring. Not so much that the opposition hasn't had time to prepare. That's not my reason for tabling. I would just like to get some more background.
Thank you. Councillor Clayton?
I support, well, I think similar to Shane or Councillor Belanger, pardon me, Pelletier, I'm a little bit on the fence with this, but I support Councillor Belanger's request to table it.
Okay, Councillor Mamchuk?
I'll support Councillor Belanger's reasons. They're quite valid, and I think it should be investigated more, and I'm in favor of getting it tabled, please.
Okay, so Councillor Pelletier, you and I are off the hook. We don't have to vote, so it's tabled. Although I think we know where I stand. So it's tabled, Mr. CAO.
Okay, thank you. The discussion to be had before we move on to the next topic, yes, we are tabling. Are we tabling the decision of council, or is there going to be another opportunity for a public hearing? Because the reason why I say that is if you're considering of having another public hearing, it would be wise to announce that date right now, so that way we do not have to treat this as a new process. Everybody who's online will know when the next date will be for this. Or are you tabling the decision of council, whereby that could be done at any time with no participation from the public?
Mr. CEO, it's my understanding that the chair can pitch a date and it doesn't have to be 2 weeks from today. Is that correct? It could be any time?
If you're going to be holding a new public hearing, you could pitch the date at any time. If you're having just the tabling of the decision, then again, you could have it any time, but there'll be no public participation. So if you wish to discuss that amongst council, please do so.
I think to appeal to Councillor Belanger's wants as well as the residents in her ward, I would be okay proposing a date if Councillor Belanger wants that for a new public hearing.
Yes, that would be my preference.
Okay, then I'm proposing Monday, September 21st at 6 p.m.
I unfortunately will be out of town. Can we do it on Tuesday? I'm sorry.
Tuesday, September 22nd at 6 p.m. Council, are you okay?
At what time on the 22nd, Mr. Mayor?
6 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
That works for me.
Councillor Pelletier?
Yeah.
Councillor Clayton?
Is this another public hearing, or are we just reserving decision for that date?
This is another public hearing to give the residents the days they needed. That's 3 business days to do their due diligence, and Councillor Belanger to get the references she needed and do it all at once. And yeah, so everything.
Okay.
Okay, so all in favor for September 22nd at 6 p.m. Mr. CEO for public hearing.
Just raise your hands.
Yes, it's okay with me.
Okay, thank you. So the public is aware. Those that have presented, what we'll do is we'll just follow up with an email, hopefully that our staff has the email addresses for those that are in the council room right now. And if not, hint, please get that before the, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 7.2.3. C20 2020 Baltic Athletics -3610 Main Street IDC to allow a warehouse facility in a commercial general zone.
Notices were sent to surrounding properties on September 1st of 2020, also sent out to the McDonald Reach Out Planning District, Reach Out Manager, Building Inspector, Council, CEO, and Fire Chief. These were also posted at the Ile des Chênes Country Store, Ile des Chênes Hotel, posted on our municipal board, municipal website, as well as a connect message was sent out just recently.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing at 8:04 p.m. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor?
Hello, Mayor Ewan. This is Karina Roos calling from Baltic Athletics.
Hello, Karina.
And, hello. We thank you for, allowing us this chance to speak. Right now, our business, we are in our 6th year of business. Actually, in October, will be 6 years. And right now, we're working out of our home, which is actually on Prefontaine Road in the RM of Taché. And we are just looking for more space, and I wish to reclaim my home. And yeah, so it's 1,900 square feet. We want to use it for storing some of the inventory that's right now in garages on property. And also we want to put a small office in there for Rauno. That's about it. It's more of a, it's not a store. It's not a retail store. It's we do all our sales out, going to the customers, going to our schools. And that's 95% of our business is schools. So they go to we go to them. So that's what we're looking to do in Ile des Chênes. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you wanting to jump out of the dark side and come to the bright side of Rich Hops.
Well, we're kind of mixed. I mean, everything I do is in Ildershane, and I have.
We're on the other side of the tracks.
Yeah, we're right in the middle of everyone.
Council, do you have any questions for the applicants?
Not here.
Not here.
None here.
No, none here.
No. Okay, thank you. Okay, I appreciate that, you too. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone in council wishing to speak in favor? Anything received in favor? No one's answering
Nothing.
me?
Sorry,
Thank you.
nothing received in favor.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone in the council chambers wishing to speak against?
No, there is not.
Thank you. Anything received against?
Nothing received against.
Okay, I'll give it one last call. In favor, against, comments, questions? I will close the public hearing at 8:07 p.m. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk,
Second,
Councillor
Councillor
Clayton.
Belanger.
Councillor Clayton moves it. Thank you.
Therefore, be resolved that conditional use application C20-2020 is approved, subject to the following conditions. All storage of inventory shall be indoors. 2, the applicant shall obtain a building permit from the Arma Reach Out for any alterations to the building. 3, any signage shall comply with the zoning bylaw 9-2019, section 11. 4, the applicant shall obtain an occupancy permit from the Arma Reach Out. 5, that the applicant shall provide a signed confirmation letter accepting the terms of this order. There may be site audits conducted to ensure compliance, and non-compliance issues may be caused to revoke the conditional use at any time.
Thank you very much. I'll open up for discussion to council. Any questions, comments, council? Mr. Pelche, this is your area.
Walk by it every morning. It'll be a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the owners very well, and I know the business. They cater to a few of the sports that I used to play as a young lad. So I think it's great for them. Any other comments?
Wish them lots of luck.
Perfect. Okay, I will get council to.
Just a reminder to council, you are voting on item 7.2.3.
Thank you. Please vote on item 7.2.3 online.
3.
I'm having a hard time voting on my system right now.
That's saying a gap for you.
Verbal.
In favor.
Thank you. That is carried, therefore 5-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Sorry here, 7.3.1, 4165 27922 Sonicson, 9 lots, 1181 Habitant.
Okay, hang on here. Just want to get familiar with the area. Okay, notifications were sent to residents in the surrounding area. Also posted at the McMillan Reach Out Planning District. Copies were sent there to the Reach Out to the manager, building inspector, councillor, CEO, fire chief, and community planning. It was also posted at the Ile-des-Chênes Country Store, Ile-des-Chênes Hotel, posted on the municipal website, municipal board, and also a connect notice was sent out on September 10th.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing at 8:10 p.m. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor?
Yes, that would be me. Mayor Ewan, this is Blair Sonicson speaking. I'm a consultant to Tyson, the applicant.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I've submitted a letter. I'm not sure if Mr. Duval is planning on reading the letter to council or if it's been distributed.
The letter is in council's documents.
All right.
I think the CEO will probably, he will read it out at the end when I ask if there's any letters in support. But if you wanted to read it or say something different, feel free.
No, that's fine.
If I could recommend to Mr. Sonicson to paraphrase what is in the letter, that would be excellent as well.
Certainly. As the letter describes, I wanted to make sure that there was a clear understanding of intent and respect for the community of Île-des-Chênes, especially now we're looking at the west side hamlet portion. So the basic summary is that this is a parcel of land that is well suited to a residential setting, large lots, and the plan that's been proposed by Keystone Surveys that was prepared for it fits the properties properly and complies, as you've read through from other municipalities' reviews, complies with the standards that would go hand in hand with this type of development. We're also sensitive to the Carrier family and want to honor them with this road proposal. And I'm here to answer any questions that may be needing to be answered with regards to our participation in this land development.
You're muted, Chris.
Thank you very much for that. I muted myself. Blair, I appreciate that. Council, do you have any questions for the gentleman?
Are we going to hear from the owners, or is this their presentation right now?
The owner is sitting right beside me. Would you care to hear from him?
Well, I just want to know who I should be asking questions of.
You'd be asking them of me, and I'm advising Tyson through this process. So I think I would be best able to answer any of the direct questions regarding subdivision, land development, things of that nature. But if you want to ask personal questions of Tyson, certainly he's here to answer any of your questions. We're sitting side by side.
Yeah, all good. I'd like to come back to it once we hear from everybody else, if that's okay, Mr. Mayor.
Are you wanting to come back after council's spoken on it, or you're talking about the whole round of in favors and against?
The in favors and against, if we could.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, any other questions for Blair from council at this time? Okay, no, thank you, Blair. I appreciate that. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Is there anything received in favor?
Yes, there is. There is a letter received from Brian and Shelley Suderman. Our concerns and comments are as follows. Trees along the north property and as many trees as possible to remain, not to be removed. 2 homes to be built on these properties will be of equal or better construction than most recent homes built in the area. I would expect that this development would positively affect our property values, not negatively affect our property values. 3, that existing infrastructure, particularly low pressure systems, are capable of taking on these additional homes, that the system will work as well as intended and not be diminished in any way. And 4, I'm sure of an adequate drainage plan would be implemented to ensure any groundwater and or runoff water would drain properly. Provided the above concerns are dealt with in an acceptable manner, we would support the subdivision. If this subdivision is done well, we believe it adds to the community and makes appropriate use of otherwise unproductive land.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And council's read Mr. Sonic's letter. I'm just reviewing it here. Anyone wishing to speak against? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against?
Hello?
Yes, hello, Shannon.
Yeah, my concerns are mainly dealing with the infrastructure here. Our sewer system is not very good, I have to say. When we built, we had a pump put in according to your specifications. Well, 2 years later, it's not good enough. We had to double the size from a half horse to 1 horse. And it's holding so far, but that's with just a few houses on there. The second one, my concerns would be Leclerc Road and Habitant Road. Leclerc Road is bad. When I was coming home from work today, there was clouds of dirt and dust flying up from cars coming down the road, and not at a great rate of speed either. It was just dirty, dusty, and miserable. Habitat Road is not a wide road. I don't think there's going to be there shouldn't be a lot more traffic on there unless they do something about these. Also, the runoff. That property is higher than a lot of the land around here. It runs down and it's flooding out some people already. So I would like to know what they were going to do about the drainage in those. And how are they planning on do we need another road going on to Habitat for all the houses that are planning to be built there? And that's my main concerns.
Thank you, Shannon. And Shannon, just to confirm, it's Shannon McDonald.
Yep.
Thank you. I just wanted that for the record. And then I see you actually submitted an objection letter as well.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
It's
Council.
the same points. Yeah.
Council has that in their documents as well. So Mr. CEO, you don't have to read that. Does anyone from council have any questions for Mrs. McDonald?
None here.
Not here.
Just a quick question on behalf of the CEO here. Shannon, is the flooding that's currently going on those properties due to spring runoff or heavy rains, or is it just continual basis?
It's during heavy rains, spring runoff. It rolls downhill. They're much higher properties. So you'd have additional houses backing onto there, and they're going to have their sump pumps. They're going to be watering their grass, their gardens, and just general runoff. It's going to be worse, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you.
And if you got all that runoff in the trees, it's going to be killing trees.
Okay, thank you.
And another thing I'd like to say about the roads, Leclerc Road is full of potholes. It doesn't matter how many times it's graded. A few days later, the potholes are back. You have to go down that road at 20 to 30 kilometers an hour, and there's always somebody right behind you trying to pass you. And you can't go any faster without damaging your car. And I'm sure you're aware of what the road looks like.
Yeah, we're looking at submitting that road to the X Games for BMXing. We know how bad it is.
Yeah, it's like wagon trail.
Yeah. No, I appreciate
that. Habitat Road is not a very wide road either.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
Sorry.
No,
and there's
okay.
already how many different little roads coming off onto there already? Onto Habitat from little streets here and there along there.
No, okay, thank you. Council, do you have any questions for Shannon? No. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak against?
Sean McDonald. I live at 2215 Leclerc Road. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I have problems with drainage already in my place. Mine runs along most of the area that they'll be developing on the south side. And even with moderate rains, I have puddling by the trees and stuff like that. I've had to do runoff. and sections just to keep the water on my property because it was starting to kill off the trees. Now they're going to develop the land. They're only going to put ditches in the front, as far as I can tell. So all the back that they'll be building will have water runoff. They'll build the housing higher, creating runoff towards my property. And it's already an issue on my west corner of my property, I guess northwest. There's already pooling there all the time. I've tried to move some water from the two houses that have already been developed, and I'm having more and more problems every year now. And it hasn't even been a wet year yet. I can only imagine what it's going to be like when we have flooding seasons and stuff like that. And then also that's just the part of the drainage that I'm worried about. Next will be the road that they'll be building in there. There'll be more dust built up from there, as well as road noise. And LeClaire Road, once again, as Shannon has mentioned, it's poorly, not in default of the RM. I know you guys have a lot of roads to maintain. It's just not built for that kind of use. And then they're going to add at least 9 more places to there. So you're going to have, say, typical of 2 cars per, so that's 18 cars twice a day. So they can have about 20 to 30 cars back and forth a day traveling these roads, causing more dust and more grief. Also, the sewer system that was put in worked fine for the first few years, but now we're starting to have problems with it. My pump is now struggling to keep up. Now everyone's starting to upgrade their pumps and bigger and bigger, but they still haven't fixed the problem with it. It's now becoming an issue that it's starting to back up. There's other people who have actually had it back up in their house because of this, and it's not getting. Now you're going to add 9 houses or 8 or 9 houses to this on top of it, which will only compound the issues. So my most concerns are is that the infrastructure that they have is not set up for more housing. Also, the problem with more noise as well is going to be an issue, having more developments. That's my main concern.
Thank you. I appreciate the comments. Anyone from council have any questions? Comments? Yeah, we'll move on. Is there anyone else wishing to speak against?
Yes, there's one more, 192.
Come on down.
Hello, Council. Jeff Lawrence. I live at 1193 Habitat Road. So this development is going to be on the north side and the east side of my property. And I submitted a letter with a picture already of the drainage on the property and in the ditch and how it backs up. Last spring, we had to call the RM because the water was already backed up to almost the corner of the house because the snow was pushed up on the, I guess, on the parking lot on the north or on the south side of that parking pad. And I'm just wondering what they're going to be doing about the drainage. Really, if there's an engineered plan on how they get rid of the water.
Thank you. It was Jeff, right?
Yeah, Jeff.
Jeff. Jeff, I'm just curious if there is there will be a drainage plan, but would that satisfy your concern or remove your opposition with the RM creating a proper drainage plan with the subdivision?
Well, the problem is it's not, well, that would be helpful, but it's on both sides of the property. Like the water is going to have to go one of 2 ways. It's going to go on the south side of my property or it's going to go on the north side of my property and to the back. So I'm going to take it on all 3 sides.
Okay.
So, and then yeah, the traffic of being, now I go from having one road in the front being on a corner lot. So is there going to be a buffer from my property line to the road?
Are you asking or are you just wondering?
I'm wondering, like, before this goes through, yeah. I'm opposed to having being on a corner lot here.
No, I appreciate the comments. I will keep that in mind until council. Council, do you have any questions for Jeff?
No.
No, I'm good here. Sorry.
You're good. Sorry, zoomed in there for a second.
Yeah, no, I'm just having a look at the plans.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. Is there anyone else wishing to speak against?
Yes, one more.
Thank you.
Good day. I was having trouble with Skype at home there, but I see my wife got through. Shannon McDonald. Anyways, I'm here now, so I'm going to voice my opinion as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go.
We have a drainage problem already on our properties.
Sir, your name just for the record, please.
I'm 1197 Habitat Road.
Okay.
Oh, wow, Philip McDonald.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay,
1197 Habitat Road.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we were concerned about the drainage on the property there. We're already having a bit of a problem with it. They're building them houses higher. That water is going to come onto our properties, and we don't want to, can't handle any more than we already got in the water. It takes forever in the springtime to dry out our properties and get them tilled and get them looking decently. And then weeds are getting out of control, and you can't look after your property half the time if you even having it. Second of all, the traffic on LeClaire Road and Habitat Road is already way too much traffic on that road to add, like what my son was saying, 30 more cars every day in and day out, coming up and down that road. We just don't have haven't built the infrastructure to maintain these kind of subdevelopments. And third of all, you haven't put any green space in any of these subdivisions you put on the west side, and we're running on gravel roads. People are pedaling on gravel roads, forcing them to the highway, and you know how the consequences of that is. So it's unsafe to have so many people on that road, and having more people on that road, and for kids playing on it. There's all kinds of things happening there, but they have nowhere to go. So you have got no green space at all. You have no parks, no bike paths. You have nothing. You're not putting any infrastructure into that area to get any more houses in there. And the third thing I was complaining about, what's going to happen with our sewer system? I had to buy a huge pump. It's not even a sump pump anymore. I got a sludge pump to get it off my property, which I was supposed to have a ½ inch. And Jeff, that is here, he had to buy one too to maintain it. They dug up in front of us and said there's nothing wrong with it, but the back pressure on that system is unbelievable, and the pumps won't pump it out anymore. So what are we going to do with the sewer system? They said they were going to try and fix it, but nothing has been done. We're supposed to be reimbursed. We have not been yet, and we're just wondering adding more onto that line system is just going to create more and more problems. And the RM doesn't seem to want to deal with any of this stuff. So we're just wondering what's going to happen with the drainage, traffic, and the sewer system. And that's what I'm objecting to have any more properties built until that is confronted.
I appreciate that, Mr. McDonald. Council, do you have any questions?
About it.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for the gentleman?
I have a question about, this is the second time we've heard the sewage problem come up, and how they had a ½ horsepower or pump, which is what the specs from the RM gave them, and they had to go to a 1 horsepower. So obviously they've been speaking to Public Works about these issues, and I just want to know what type of feedback have you received from Public Works, and is there any kind of plan in place, or what has been, what are those discussions?
Well, the public service, they were very good. They came out, they came with a backhoe, dug it all up, and scoped the lines, and they said there was nothing in them or anything else. They don't know why the pressure is backing up.
So when you say
backing up.
Okay,
and that's
so
the last I heard from the RM.
Okay,
and
but when you say that the RM doesn't, when you say that the RM doesn't care or doesn't want to deal with it, it sounds like they have tried to deal with it, or they are on top of it.
I never said they didn't care.
Okay, sorry, my mistake. That's all I had. Thanks.
No, I would say the guys that work on the RM, they're very good. They're very good people. They're right on you. If you follow them, they're there. I have no problem with them at all. That's not their problem. They just have a system problem.
Yeah, I think the concern is there's just no solution for the problem. It's not a matter of who has or hasn't done anything, but I appreciate the comments. Mr. McDonald and our Councillor Belanger, I appreciate the clear up question. Anything else for Mr. McDonald?
No, I think I've covered everything of my concerns, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Kate, is there anyone else wishing to speak against? I see we have some letters received, Mr. CEO, but they were technically read out by the opposition.
That is what I would conclude as well, if it's okay with Shannon and Phil McDonald, that your letter does not have to be read. Likewise for Sean McDonald and Kylie Anderson, and also for Jeff Sandana, council also has the picture of what he sent in. So if it's okay with them, I would recommend to move to the next step.
Yeah, council has the doc.
To the next step.
Go ahead.
Yeah, council has the doc. Council. Yeah, go to the next step. Thank you.
Thank you. Technology. Okay. One last call. Anyone to speak in favor or against? Councillor Pelletier, at this time, did you want to ask the questions to Blair?
I'll let Blair speak to the concerns as he's heard.
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Mayor Ewan. As you know, when a subdivision is done, drainage plans are an essential part of it, and being sensitive to the needs of the affected areas are part of the solution. Leaving this land as it currently stands, it seems that they are experiencing problems, and we're coming here with the intention of resolving these. Talking about green space, each of these lots are identified as large lots, and I've been a part of other developments as well, and I'm found that most commonly when you have these large lots, people have their swing sets in their backyards, and they have their opportunity for their family walks and so on down these now, which appear to me to be asphalted roads, not gravel or granular. But I believe that the large lots that are being proposed are not creating high density, but rather are in the spirit of maintaining the same community that they have right now. And then lastly, as just to talk about for a moment again about the movement of water, if this land is already high, it's much easier to move the water on swale systems from highland than it is to build this land up to move the water. So certainly we are welcoming the opportunity of being a part of the solution. And if there's other questions from council regarding this development, I'd do my best to answer them if I can.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Council, do you have any more follow-up questions?
No, I think that answered them a bit. I think if we look at a full drainage plan, that could alleviate some of the concerns in the area.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Blair. I appreciate that. Okay, one last call. In favor, comments, or against?
There is someone here in council chambers. 1 moment, please.
Hello, it's Sean McDonald speaking again. I would just like to ask if it does decide to go through, what happens if this water isn't moved the way they're saying and it starts causing problems? At this point in time, the house is already built. Now what do? We can't move a house. So do I just have to suffer with the consequences that they let it pass? And now I'm having damage issues. Does someone reimburse me for new trees if they die? So forth and so on. I'm happy to see if everything moves properly, but I've never seen anyone build a ditch in their backyard, only in the front yards along the street. so they can move water properly. Because on my side, Jeff's property would be right there. So that's one of my biggest concerns. And once again, if it doesn't work, what happens then?
Oh, I appreciate that comment. Mr. CEO, do you maybe want to take that question in terms of what the repercussions are if improper drainage is done, et cetera, et cetera?
We do have, and the reason why we're having this public hearing, because the subdivision is creating a public road, and subject to section 125 of the Planning Act, that's why we're having this. If there was no road created, we wouldn't be in this scenario with a public hearing. However, in any subdivision that the RM moves forward with, 99.9% of the time, we work with the developer and come up with a development agreement. And a development agreement has in place capital fees, securities on the construction, and there's also a 1-year warranty period to ensure that all that has been done performs properly. And we usually don't release the letter of credit until all those items in the development agreement are checked off before refunding them the letter of credit. Regarding to drainage, that's an automatic that goes into the development agreement. We only accept plans from certified engineers, so hopefully the engineers know what they're doing. That's what they're paid for to do. They have a stamp, and if it comes back to bite them, we're going to be chasing the engineer, whoever has stamped that plan. Unfortunately, if it works for first few years and then there's problems, we need to figure out why, etc. But then it's on the onus is on the RM to carry it forward, whether it's in a friendly fashion with the engineers or through courts.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll do one last call.
Sorry, it's me again, Sean McDonald. Just saying that we've had a dry year in the last couple of years. If we have, say, 2 dry years, and then all of a sudden, because I've been around there since '94, we've had downpours and big problems. So say 2 years down the road, then we have a big deficiency where they have a downpour and it can't keep up with it. Then what happens? Now they're off the hook, and then the RM can just say, well, we can't do anything about it. I'm just wondering, is there anything in regards to that, saying, say, 2, 3 years down the road, we start having lots of rain? What would happen to the water drainage then?
Okay, good question, Sean.
Do you guys have some kind of backup for that?
Well, basically, I'll refer back to what I've said before. It would be going through, talking to the engineers, asking why, and trying to remedy it in a friendly fashion, otherwise going to court. Drainage, basically, I think the engineers can't design something that would happen every 100 years, and I don't know what the guidelines are, but it's just like you can't, most towns drainage can't handle a 5-inch rain in 1 hour. There are standards that they need to comply to, and I don't know offhand what those standards are, but there's a minimum threshold that is designed for. Anything above that is almost a freak of Mother Nature, and unfortunately, there's only so much you could design for.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm just curious of like if there's any. It's not that it happens every year. It's not. I shouldn't say that a large downpour. I should say that we have years with a lot of rain. Like so, every 3rd day or 2nd day it rains. I have water issues in my yard.
Right, and that's where.
So that's why I was wondering. When they build the roads, they only build the ditches between the road. And will they be developing something behind between my yard and their yards as well? Is another question I have. Because on the backside of where my property will meet the new people that are moving in, Jeff's property is right there blocking any drainage from leaving my land. if you guys build on that side there as developed.
Yeah, I think, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Seal.
That I can't answer. We're not at that stage yet regarding drainage and development agreements, et cetera, et cetera. This is the first stage regarding the subdivision and the opening of the road or creating the road.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say, yeah. Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Okay, so will we be able to, sorry, I was just wondering if we'd be able to see the plans before anything goes ahead, just in case there is problems with it, that we can object to it at that point in time?
Mr. Seal, what's the process?
Just writing his comments down here. Basically, those plans are part of the development agreement document. Unfortunately, I don't know. It depends on the developer. If they are willing to share those plans beforehand, then I have no issues releasing that information. If not, then we could only release it after council would pass a resolution to adopt the development plan. So it's almost a catch-22, but hopefully in the spirit of the development, they would be prepared to participate and show those plans to everyone.
Okay, I was just also curious about what's going to happen with the sewer system. I know they're not sure what's happening with it, but now we're going to develop these houses and it's only going to compound the problem. So does the RM have a solution for this now, or are we just going to wait till water backs up in our houses, or?
Yeah, we will, we have a public works meeting coming up. Councillor Pelletier and myself will bring that concern up at the next public works meeting, correct, Councillor Pelletier? Just to investigate the situation.
Okay, and if that's the case, will once you guys find a solution, then everything will continue, or will everything continue and then hopefully you have a solution?
That's TBD. We need to look at what the problem is first and go one step at a time. We can't solve question 10 without figuring 1 to 9 first.
Okay, no problem. That's why I was just wondering if there was going to be anything in
No,
works for that. Thank you very much.
I appreciate the comment. Okay, I'll close the public hearing at 8:43 p.m. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Second.
Councillor Pelletier.
Thank you.
Okay. Just want to ensure I have the right documents here. Okay. So the resolution would read, therefore be it resolved that council approves the subdivision file 4165-20-7922, subject to the following conditions: that the applicant obtains variance orders to vary the minimum side width of proposed lots 4, 5, and 6, that the applicant enters into a development agreement with the municipality of Richat, that the applicant removes the existing shed from the property to be subdivided, and that the applicant consults with TC Energy prior to the development.
Thank you. I'll open up for discussion from council. Councillor Pelletier, you want to start because this is your area?
This property's always been delegated for this purpose. It's been a RRH since any houses got put up there. I think it's a good fit. I share the concerns of the neighbors. I've seen the water at Jeff's place. It was ridiculous. I'm hoping with developing these lots and getting a proper drainage plan put together, that it might actually alleviate most of the problems that are going on with this area. I know we're looking at probably LDS system here for drainage. I'm hoping with an engineer looking at that whole section of land that they'll be able to actually sort it out. As far as the sewer goes, as you mentioned, we'll have to bring that up with Public Works at our next meeting and see you know, what the concerns are and what we can do to alleviate anything. Adding another 9 houses to that system might not be viable unless we run another line right to the next catchment. So I think as well, I know Jeff's concerned with a driveway right along his property, but it looks like there is room for a buffer of at least 20 feet there. I think we could probably end up making that work with the developer. That's all I got right now.
Okay, excellent. Anything else from council?
I agree with
go ahead.
with Shane very much, but the thing is that I'm happy you guys are going to have a meeting with Public Works, because there seems to be lots of present concerns. And if you're going to go and put some more buildings there or more houses, I think we just want to contribute to it. I think that should be studied first before we, put 9 more homes there and not look after the issues we have right now, especially where Jeff is situated. It seems like he gets everything. Otherwise, it's a nice plan. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Belanger.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the other concern that some of the residents had about the condition of Leclerc and Habitat Road. I know in other subdivisions or other situations, sometimes you need the density or you need more development in order for the improvements to happen. And just like Councillor Pelletier was saying about maybe this will actually help the drainage, maybe with these houses, we can look at improving these roads as well with hard surface. I'm not sure. I'm just throwing that out there. And if we are to approve this, would we be able to put a condition in there that it's subject to the sewage being able to handle the 9 homes?
Yeah,
Mr. Duval, would we be able to do that?
I think we can make that part of the development agreement, that it would have to, they'd be covering the costs on it, being able to support it.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay,
As a reminder, the council, once the debate is closed, you will be voting on 7.3.1.
7.3.1.
Yes.
Okay, council, go ahead and I'll close the debate. Cast your vote, please.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on. 7.4.1 Bylaw 5 2020 ZA1-2020-6068503 Manitoba Limited rezone 1425 Path 75 from AL to CH or Ag to Commercial Highway. Second reading.
The reason why we have a public hearing is because of the rezoning process. It's all part and parcel. The notices are a little bit different than a conditional use and a variation. But after first reading, the notice was sent out to the applicants, the ministers, adjacent planning districts on August 20th. It was published twice in the carry-on. First notice of hearing was held back in first notice at least 13 days in the carry-on on September 3rd. Second notice on September 10th. It was also sent to property owners within 101 meters at least 14 days. That was sent out on September 1st. Posted a copy of the notice at the hearing on site, as well posted at the office and municipal website, and a notice of connect message was sent out on August 31st and September 10th.
Thank you very much. I'll open the public hearing at 8:50 p.m. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone in the council chambers wishing to speak in favor?
No, there is not.
Anything received in favor?
Nothing received.
Anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone wishing to speak against in council chambers?
No, there isn't.
Apologize for my very monotone voice. Is there anything received against?
Nothing received.
Thank you. One last call. I will close the hearing at 8:51 p.m. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Councillor Mamchuk moves it, second by
Councillor Clayton,
Councillor Clayton seconds it.
in a monotone voice.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Mr.
Basically, this is to give its second reading based on the public hearing. Seeing that no representations were made, I would recommend the council to move ahead with second reading. It's also to conform, this was part of the condition of the subdivision to rezone the property to CH, and it will also therefore conform to our development plan that we have.
Thank you. Okay, I'll open up for discussion from council.
Fine here.
Down here.
Here. Yep.
Okay, please cast your vote. Which
Yeah.
item are we voting on here? Sorry.
7.4.1.
Thank you. Don't want to go ahead and vote for everything and adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. That is carried 5-0. Mr. Mayor, if we could do third reading, that is permitted, and that would be under 8.2.
Okay, I would like to move to 8.2 bylaw 5, 2020 third reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Second.
Councillor Belanger.
Thank you.
This is regarding third reading, same versus second reading, and whereas there's no objections, recommend third reading.
Thank you very much. Open up for council discussion. Any changes? Last call. Okay, council, please cast your vote on item 8.2. And my computer's about to die.
That is carried 5-0.
Every meeting.
Plug it in.
Yeah, I know. I'd like to take time and go back to the delegation because I think Mr. CK is waiting for us. Is he here still?
Yes, he is. I see him as JP on the screen here.
If council's okay going back to the delegation so Mr. CK can carry on with his evening and we can carry on with our enjoyable meeting.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so then I will go to delegation 6.1. John Paul CK, 1228 Crashane Boulevard. Mr. CK, if you want to start by discussing your concern, you're more than welcome to. Your mic is on, sir. You can go ahead. We can't hear anything, Mr. CK. I don't know if you're trying to speak. Okay, at this point, we cannot hear you, Mr. CK, but if you want to keep trying for the next 5 minutes, we're going to continue on with the meeting. If we get you, we will jump back to your item number delegation, and if we don't, then we will have to probably reschedule the delegation and maybe make it an in-person meeting. It's absolutely brutal. So continue for a couple more minutes here if you can log on or restart your computer, whatever you can do. We will move back towards, and we're just playing hopscotch here.
742, I think, Mr. Mayor.
That is correct.
Thank you. 7.4.2, Bylaw 7, 2020, housekeeping amendments, second reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Manship.
Isn't it a public hearing?
It is a hearing first. Correct.
Don't do that to me. Go ahead.
Again, this is a public hearing regarding, it's basically a cleanup of our zoning bylaw. Again, notices follow the same protocol as the first bylaw that we've just dealt with regarding setting notices to the planning district and adjacent municipalities, ministers, etc. Posted in the carry-on, notice of hearing sent to owners within 100 meters, which apparently is not necessary because this is in that it affects the whole municipality. So it was also posted on our office and website, and connect message was also sent out.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing at 8:57 p.m. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone in chambers wishing to speak in favor?
No, there isn't.
Anything received in favor?
No.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone in council chambers wishing to speak against?
No, there is not.
Anything received against?
Nothing received against.
I will give it one last call. Favor, against, general comments, questions. I'll close the public hearing at 8:58 p.m. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Clayton.
And I'll jump up at once. Thank you. Second.
Councillor Pelletier.
Thank you.
All right, this is second reading. Our planning department staff have given council a good document showing the different changes proposed in there. To add, and those were dealt with at the first reading. Unfortunately, we did receive comments today from the Department of Agriculture and Community Planning, and those changes, I believe, are minor in nature. So if council will basically bear with me regarding as to their comments. The Department of Agriculture basically has no concerns. However, subject to Section 510 on the hobby farms, they did note that on table 5.1, we are referencing the number of animals based on a 4-acre parcel. The recommendation, and these are just recommendations, that the table 5.1 should be revised to reflect the proposed minimum lot size of 2 acres, and that these animal units be adjusted accordingly. The province has no minimum site required for accessory livestock. However, they do generally recommend 2 acres of land for each available per animal unit. In discussions with our planning department, we are recommending that whether it's a 4-acre parcel, 2-acre parcels, that the table provided in the zoning bylaw not be changed, that those numbers are set and are okay for us. Regarding community planning, they have a concern regarding D, which is the limit number of bedrooms in a secondary suite to 2. Basically, they're saying that limiting the number of bedrooms is not appropriate under a zoning bylaw. Zoning deals now with what happens on site and interacts with the area surrounding it. Zoning does this by establishing the overall use of the site and the location of the structures on the site, not the structure or of the interior of the building. The size and location of a secondary seat has already been established. So basically they're saying limit yourselves to the outside of the building and the property, but don't control the inside of the property. And the last item is regarding item J, and item J is to change single family dwellings to a permitted use in the agricultural general zone. And here it says here that in the RM there are a number of small agricultural parcels, many which are at risk flooding. Having single family dwellings as a permitted use will remove council's ability to control where new clusters of residential dwellings are built. This may be subsequently create residential development clusters, which will increase required and create increased flood risk liabilities. Other than that, they have no concerns. I would just like to offer my 2 cents worth regarding item J and single family dwellings. We currently have it in our bylaw as a conditional use in the agricultural limited zone, and that zone is basically the flood area. Anything outside of the flood area is agricultural general. So I think this would not be applicable, and I would recommend to council not to do that change, to leave it as is. In regards to the number of bedrooms to 2, I think we should eliminate that clause in there. And the last one, or the first one, the agricultural, leaving the bulk table as is. Up for discussion.
Thank you very much, Mr. CEO. Okay, I will bring it up for debate and discussion to council. I firstly just want to agree with the CEO. I would make those recommendations that he gave us 2 cents on.
I agree with Mr. CEO as well, Mamchuk.
Mitch, did you have that one from the planning somewhere?
Yes,
the only
sir.
one I can see online is the recommendations from Ag.
Yes, as I said earlier, we just received this today. So basically, and late in the day, we didn't have a chance to scan it and put it up there. That's why I'm kind of paraphrasing. So, but basically community planning, it was the 2-bedroom apartments. Don't put that in there, deal with the outside. And J regarding flooding in an AG zone.
Okay. You're muted again, Chris.
I know. Anything else?
I'm good with the suggestions as well.
Okay, anything else from council?
No, I'm good with the CAO suggestions. Yeah.
Okay, then we are, please cast your vote for 7.4.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, said that with confidence.
Mhm.
That is carried 5-0. I would recommend, seeing that there's no objections, to proceed with 3rd reading, and 3rd reading is under section 8.3.
Okay, moving on to 8.3, bylaw 7, 2020, 3rd reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Blanger.
Second?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Thank you.
So proposed third reading, same as second reading with the modifications that were provided by yours truly.
Okay, I'll open up for discussion. Anything from council?
Not here.
No, it's all good.
Okay, please cast your vote on 8.3.
That is carried 5-0.
Thank you. At this time, I'll just go back quickly to the delegation with Mr. CK 6.1. John Paul, CK, we're having a hard time technology. Can you hear us?
I can hear all of you guys. Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yep.
So
Oh, beautiful.
let's go on with the delegation. Please go ahead.
Okay. So an incident occurred that I ended up writing a letter to both Councillor Mamchuk as well as CAO Mitch Duval there. And my concern isn't so much with the incident. My concern kind of is three-pronged in nature regarding the incident and what came to light as a result of this incident. I'm not sure if you guys were made aware of the letter that I had sent or if you guys have copies of it.
We do have copies of it, yes.
Okay. So the three main concerns that I had with the bylaw in general. Well, I'll start with the first point being the due process or lack thereof with that bylaw. So as a result of the incident, my dog was seized for 10 days with very little due process. And I mean very little as in absolutely none. There was no consulting with us. There was no disclosure of anything that took place. There was nothing. There was an order posted on the door based on some allegations that were, let's say, weak at best. And ultimately, we ended up having to have our dog surrendered as part of that order. So the due process in enforcing that bylaw I found frustrating, to say the least. As well as our dealings with the bylaw officer that was enforcing the said bylaw. When we called to try to get our information about the process and about the allegations and what the nature of the report that was made and any additional information about bylaws or actions we could take, the bylaw essentially refused to answer any of our questions. He threatened to hang up on us. He claimed we didn't have a conscience, that we didn't care. It was incredibly unbecoming and unprofessional for somebody that's supposed to be a public servant. So that was my second issue that I had with this incident. And the third issue that I had is the bylaw itself and the absence or lack thereof of any other accountability or responsibility that falls on any other animal owners aside from canines. So I've lived in Richaud the majority of my life. I'm well aware of the bylaws now and the lack thereof regarding other animals on my property. And so long as they're not a dog, there is zero bylaw enforcement that can be done. And the only reason that comes to light, and I'm not just using my example as or just my incident as an example. We had an issue with the neighbor's animals coming to our property. They happen to be cats, and cats are not mentioned anywhere in our bylaw, any of the bylaws. So they kept coming to our property and antagonizing our animals. To the point where one of my dogs sustained a minor injury from this cat. And it precipitated in the incident that ended up getting my dog impounded. So the cat comes to my property repeatedly. Other animals can come to my property and attack my animals or my kids or whoever else is here. And there's no accountability for the ownership of those pet owners. So I just found the bylaw incredibly hypocritical in nature, right? So their cat runs amok in the neighborhood. They're animals. We have horses across the way from us. They can get out, they can run around. Cats in no way are protected, are mentioned, or regulated in any way in the bylaw, yet my dog can be surrendered for an incident that took place with a cat. The cat is not any kind of protected wildlife. It's not wildlife that falls under conservation, and it doesn't fall under any municipal bylaw, but my dog got impounded as a result of that. So those were my concerns. I don't know if this is the appropriate forum to air those concerns, but it was an incredibly frustrating experience, front to back. Yeah, I don't know what more I can say.
No, I appreciate it. I think this is probably one of the best routes you can take. It's a delegation where you're just speaking your concerns to council. We don't have to make any motions or anything here. So it's more of your opportunity to vent, which is exactly what you're doing, and I don't blame you one at all. Council, do you have any questions for the gentleman before maybe I ask a couple questions?
Please, I'm all ears.
Yeah, Jean-Paul, it's we've probably never had anybody come forward and say, hey, where's a cat bylaw?
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest with you. And you make a very valid point.
Sorry to interrupt you. So along with the conduct of the bylaw officer, that was one of my grievances. Your animal control officer that the RM employs is phenomenal. And my understanding is that he's constantly pushed multiple RMs to push some sort of, maybe not a specific cat bylaw, but integrate like an animal control bylaw, not specifically just dogs. Simply because like all the neighboring RMs and we're neighbors to the city of Winnipeg. And I mean, if we want to emulate what certain RMs do very well, I think this is an incredible learning moment, and it's a huge issue, especially out in the country here where cats, specifically cats, but any pet really can just go wild essentially. But my understanding was that the animal control officer has been trying to kind of get at least felines mentioned in a bylaw under a licensing or anything like that, because not only did this allegation that my dog killed their cat, we had no idea this was happening. We had no idea. We didn't even know. We couldn't identify our dog. We couldn't identify the neighbor's cat. We have no way of proving the ownership of the neighbor's cat because there's no licensing that goes on. So there were so many problems along the way, but there was no recourse for us to take.
Yeah, I'll let Councillor Pelletier finish, but before he does, I just want to say we have yet to talk to the animal bylaw officer about a cat bylaw in my 2 terms on council, 3.5, 4 years. So it's something we can definitely bring up to make it an all-encompassing animal bylaw. If you own a goat to a snake to a Himalayan mountain sheep, I don't care what you have, we should look at it, because I do agree that it's pretty prejudiced towards one specific animal.
I had nothing further to add, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from council?
No, I'm just happy that the delegate brought this forward to us. I mean, I think it is clear there is a bit of a double standard. You know, we're focusing on dogs all the time, but I think it's fairly common to see in the community felines roaming around and what have you. So yeah, we should be looking at this.
And in my personal opinion, I mean, I've been working with dogs and I've been training dogs for most of my life, for upwards of 20 years. The majority of dogs are not dangerous to people, maybe to other animals, maybe possibly if they're not socialized, but cats are super destructive. They're super destructive. All they do is make more cats and kill things. And if there's anything that needs to be regulated in a community, it's a cat, you know, and it's certainly holding their owners accountable for cats being at large or unspayed or coming over to my property and attacking my dog several times before my dog decides he's had enough. So I don't know. It's just the whole process from the whole lack of of disclosure. Like, we didn't have any information, and then the bylaw officer was not helpful at all. He was not helpful at all. He didn't let it fill us in on any of the allegations. We never got a copy of the report. We never got the copy of the video of our dog going over there. We didn't get a copy of anything until we spoke to the assistant CAO, who also was incredibly professional. So the bylaw officer was like, the whole process front to back has been incredibly frustrating. And I know that we're bound by these bylaws. I just wanted to point out how one-sided and hypocritical, or the double standard that exists for dog owners versus any other animal. So that's my 2 cents.
No, I appreciate that. I think we have some considerations to make for sure. Council will bring it up maybe at the next planning meeting. If not the next one, well, no, the next one. We'll discuss at the next planning meeting, and then we'll also just review the bylaw enforcement procedures, and what he is to release right away, what he can't release, what due diligence the RM has to do after the fact, if it's being if they want to see information, what information we can give to you as the person that's requesting it. We'll look into that for sure. And I do always appreciate delegations. This is one of my favorite times because I get to A, meet the residents, and B, listen to see what the concerns are out there. So if that's enough from us, we will continue to look into this for you, and hopefully Mr. CEO will give you an update as soon as we come to some consensus on some of those matters. Then we'll end at that.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Mamchuk.
This is
Great.
Councilor Mamchuk speaking. Thanks very much for bringing it to our attention, and thanks again.
Perfect. Thank you, JP. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back to 38.75Z. I have no idea where we are.
8.1, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. 8.1 bylaw 8/2020 loan to John Q, amending 4/2020, first reading. Do I have a mover?
Councilor Mamchuk.
Second.
Councilor Clayton.
Councilor Pelletier raised his hand, I think.
I saw I was muted. It was
His hand was first.
Go ahead, Mr. CEO.
Just catching up here, folks. Thank you. Okay. The bylaw, the only way you could amend the bylaw is with another bylaw. That is provincial statute. We are amending this bylaw as a result of the promissory note that used to be on Schedule A on the old bylaw. The members of the Capital Region who are participating in this project, that being 6 municipalities, I believe, most of them have either already passed the bylaw or are going through the same process as we are. So basically what we're doing is we're removing Schedule A, which is the promissory note that accompanied the loan of the 250. In the promissory note, we had John Q Public signing off, as well as RF Now. The problem that came up as a result of this promissory note is that RF Now is, as a result of this promissory note, is cash strapped, because if you take 250 times 6, that's $1.5 million in funds that they need to secure through the financiers in order to move forward. And the financiers, I believe, are not prepared to do so. So I believe it's the recommendation of the John Q to have these promissory notes removed. If your worship wishes to explain further, that is basically all I have.
I have no idea how to add to that. It was so well said and articulated that I think it makes complete sense, and I'm not going to continue with that. Any questions from council?
So in theory, I mean, this bylaw is better protecting the municipality with respect to the loan. Is that what the bulk of this is about?
The bulk of it is correct, Councillor Clayton, but I believe that personally, I don't know if my opinion does not protect the RM better. If anything, it opens up the possibility of not being to recollect the 250. The loan is being made to John Q. So I think, having said that, John Q is there for the municipalities, and I don't think John Q will renege on repaying the loan back. It was just having that third party guarantee as part of the equation. I think in the grand scheme of things, John Q should still be working with RF now to ensure that that payment is returned, but that's out of our hands.
Yeah, the onus is on John Q. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. CAO, could we not have just amended that for a second and third reading? Instead of starting from scratch? Isn't that the point of a second and third reading?
This was brought to our attention after third reading of the bylaw. All the other RMs are in the same boat as we are.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. If that was caught earlier on, yes, at second or third reading, we do that amendment. But now that the previous bylaw 4 was passed, we need to repeal it and create a new one.
Thank you for the clarification.
It's government at its finest.
Anything else from council?
None here.
I'll call for the vote.
Vote is carried 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 8.4. But before we move on, does council need a 2-minute break?
I'm good.
No, I just want to get through this. We only got 40 minutes left to close this.
Yeah. Away.
Okay. 8.4 bylaw 9 2020 RE rezone of parcel lot 1 of plan 66782 first reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Councillor Mamchuk moves, second by Councillor Pelletier.
This is regarding a property that is inside the ring dike in St. Adolphe as a result of the new dike construction for the community of St. Adolphe. The southwest corner between the new dike and PR 200 currently is zoned as AL. So any construction, any development in that area would have to be rezoned. We received a proposal from Schinkel Properties to look at rezoning this to an RG8 zone with the purpose of building, I believe, 25 units. I'm just going to change papers here in the area. Take a look here quickly. 25 units, correct. And I believe council has seen a map of that as well as the proposal from Schinkel. So this would be step 1 regarding the process. If council approves of bylaw 1 first reading, we would move to doing the publication, notices, et cetera, and hold a public hearing, which then would occur likely in October, at which point I would recommend to the applicant to also apply for a conditional use regarding the proposal. So I guess what I would recommend to council right now is the zone what you are looking for in this area.
Thank you. I'll open up for discussion. Council, you want to start before I have my little say?
Just want to clarify, this is RM land, right? And this is where we're possibly considering putting a new building?
No,
Or-
it's not.
No, it's not.
This
Okay.
is the land to the
You weren't
north
clear.
of the RM lot. This
Right,
land
okay.
is under Mr. Weeb, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
That's Mr. Weeb's land, eh?
Yes, it is.
Any comments on that, Councillor Mamchuk?
Well, we have a lot of construction going on, but I guess that's what makes the community grow, I guess. I guess it wouldn't hurt. And is he talking about condos again?
Well, unfortunately, the application right now, or the thing we're looking at right now is just the rezoning. I will say that I did talk to the developer that's looking and interested. The conversation started at one point that I think we were all discussing would be a beneficial opportunity, and then it veered right to the other side. And it's something that we currently, with this development, would be oversaturated in St. Adolphe, and that is rental units. So we aren't discussing rental units in this, we're discussing the change of zoning. Having said that, I think the intent, from my understanding from the developer, is to turn it into rental. So I personally would like to see this stay as is. I think we need to feel the market and see what progresses in the next 6 months to a year and a half with the current developments that are going on in the St. Adolphe region across the street.
Mr. CEO, can I get a quick rundown on RG8? I tried pulling up my zoning bylaw, but it's not.
Zoning bylaw right behind me. RG8 is basically residential general, requiring 8,000 square feet for a land mass. So basically 80 by 100 or something like that. In there, RG8 residential, single family dwellings are permitted. Multi-dwellings are conditional uses. 2-family dwellings are permitted. There are a few other uses, but those would be mostly all conditional use in that zone.
Thank you.
Okay, no other discussion from council?
No,
Okay,
I just want to say, I agree that it'd be nice to see all the other developments actually start and happen, see how they move before we keep putting up plans with nothing happening.
I agree. I think it's time that we get caught up with some of what's already been passed by us.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll call for the question.
The vote is unanimously defeated.
Thank you. Moving on to 9.1.1, hiring of consultant for boundary realignment. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Pelletier.
Councillor Blanchet.
And by Councillor Blanchet.
Pelletier, Councillor Belanger. All right. Believe the resolution summarizes the process that we've gone through. In the planning meeting, I gave a brief rundown of the proposal that was presented by Scatcliff Miller Murray, to be referred in the future as SMM. Regarding what they are proposing, they are the only ones out of 4 that we've reached out that do not have a conflict with the municipality. They're the only ones that have submitted a bid. did talk to the CEO of the Armatache regarding that process. We feel that process was fair and unfortunate that we only got the one. And again, to come back to Councillor Boulanger's concerns back at the planning meeting, it is unfortunate, but I don't feel that because we didn't receive a bid from the others that we should go chasing after them. Having said that, the resolution is there. The Armatache, I believe, voted yesterday and approved that motion. So my recommendation, if council is serious about moving forward about a boundary realignment, that we start the process by hiring these folks.
Okay, thank you. I'll open up for discussion. Council, go ahead.
Well, I think in order to keep going on this is what we have to do. Like we've been meeting and pretty much at a stalemate. So we've got to keep this going forward, or otherwise all of that has been for naught. So.
Councillor Shane.
Yeah, I think price point came in quite a bit lower than we had expected or anticipated. We've used Scatlift before, and they've been awesome.
Okay, I will call for the question.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. 9.1.2, 2020 building permit reports. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you.
The August 2020 reports are submitted. Just to recap for those that may be watching, we've had 15 permits issued in August for a construction value estimated of almost $5 million, bringing in permit fees of about $18,000. So that brings us to date at 138 permits at 27.8 million value, with $84,000 in construction and building fees. In comparison, well ahead of last year's pace at 101 permits at 15.6 construction value and $53,000 in building fees.
Thank you very much. I'll open up for discussion. I will say that it's quite an incredible growth year we're having, considering the factors. We're almost at 10% growth in total investment value with all the permits pulled, so that's great.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at this previously, and it's like, wow, we're
very impressive. Gold statues all around. Okay, we'll call for the vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. 9.1.3 Francophone and Centre de Santé Sainte-Agathe. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Boulanger.
And thank you.
Councillor Clayton.
Give it to Conseiller Lepelletier.
Still trying to be professional here. This is a request for support in a partnership with the Centre de Santé Sainte-Agathe. There is no financial commitment for the RM. Again, support in partnership. And the goal is to obtain funding to provide education and support services for our seniors.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council?
Nope, that's good.
Okay, I'll call for the question.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. 9.1.4, St. Agatha Arena reallocation of funding. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Mamchuk,
Second.
Counselor Boulanger.
Perfect. Take it away.
Our Director of Recreational Services sent council a quick email regarding this. There are funds sitting with the municipality that the ARM has committed for the improvement of the parking lot for the St. Agatha Arena. However, problems arise in other issues, specifically for Zamboni, and this has become top priority for them. So we just want council's blessing to be able to transfer the funds that were initially indicated for the parking lot and move those for the purchase of a Zamboni. And I believe the community also has some money allocated for that as well to help for the purchase.
Okay, I'll open up for discussion from council. Councillor Clayton, do you see any concerns with this?
No, and I think, well, I mean, I think it's a little bit unfortunate that we have to, or that they need to allocate the funds to the Zamboni. I mean, what they were saving up for was actually to asphalt the outdoor rink, which would then, you know, see some benefit throughout the summer, so that you know, students or children would be able to play tennis on it or do other things. But I was at the rink last week, and I know that you know, one of the board members mentioned that the Zamboni was it's getting old, so I support them with reallocating the funds.
Any other discussion from council?
Well, I know there's grants for equipment out there still, are there not? So obviously they've probably exhausted all avenues, but I thought it was easier to get a grant for equipment than to do asphalt. So it seems, I'm not sure this would be helping them, you know. But if they need a Zamboni, they need a Zamboni. Then I was wondering if they were just buying a brand new one, but no, it said that they're getting a used one. So
yeah, I think a bit of it has to do with the timeliness of the situation.
Maybe they
You know,
can
I
buy.
think the Zamboni need. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear.
I said maybe they can buy an asphalter because it's easier to get equipment.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's all to do with timing. Amber would have recommended that, I'm sure, if we had that.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'll call for the question.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Okay.
Your
Jeff,
worship.
Yes, I know. Go back to. We need to go back to item 3. Council thought we were done, but I had you fooled. We will move back up to item 3, adoption of minutes. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Mamchuk,
Second.
Councillor Pelletier.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Just a second here, folks. I'm sorry. My mouse is not cooperating, but now it is. Councillor Mamchuk. Councillor Pelletier. Thank you. The minutes of the last meeting was September 1. The CDI loan for the Valley Fiber project got second and third reading. Council also nominated His Worship Chris Ewan for the AMM Vice Presidency position. So good luck to you, Your Worship. Grant Point Homeowners Association also moving ahead with their clubhouse project. Wish success to them as well. And the Board of Revision members were also appointed by council pending any appeals to the 2021 assessment rule.
Excellent. Any questions? Please cast your vote.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Item 4, committee reports and minutes. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Blanchet.
Councillor Clayton.
Second by Councillor Clayton.
The reports are submitted by Councillor Boulanger on the Grand Point Homeowners Association, the Crow Wing Trail, and the Reach Out Library. Councillor Manchuk also presented a report on the Seine Red River Watershed District.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
That bridge, Janine, is amazing.
I
For
know.
walking bridge.
It was so cool. It was $250,000 for
Wow.
footbridge. It's all that structure, right? The piles and whatever, yeah.
That's
It was
great.
kind of exciting watching that thing go in place. And the picture of the two young girls is kind of neat seeing them involved. One worked for the company that put the bridge in place, and then the other one was part of the engineering team.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good job, Janine.
Great job. Great job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did lots. I did so much.
I know. I'll call.
You did.
Cast your vote.
Where are we here? Hang on here. What?
4.
Item 4.
I lost my mouse.
Get the cat.
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Item 5.1, accounts not paid to be approved. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk?
Second.
Councillor Blanger.
Blanger. Big batch here.
We have 2 batches, one for $13 typical utility refund. The other one is $134,000. Very small, in my opinion. The CFO has added a highlight report regarding the invoices, and I've recommended to him to continue providing those as a summary. But council should also not just look at a summary, but all the bills that come in that are processed. Having said that, I don't see anything abnormal other than what the CFO has highlighted.
Thank you. Any discussion, comments?
I like the way he does it. I'm really impressed.
Again, we should be able to add that to the site without scanning it in. Please.
No shame. 2020.
One of those afternoon add-ons, and we do. I do apologize. It was a late-minute add-on. I wanted council to see the report, and if it justifies it, then I've instructed Thomas to add it on a permanent basis.
Yeah, and just if you export
as a PDF.
you should just throw it on there, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, cast your vote 5.1.
Vote is carried 5-0.
5.2, payroll to be approved. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Clayton.
Second.
Councillor Pelletier.
Thank you.
In reviewing the payroll for payroll 18, August 16th to 29th, a few hours on the public works side, a few hours on the rec side. On the rec side, likely due to the programs that have been running around all summer. Our person providing the services also provided a report to the council, and I would like to publicly congratulate the Recreation Department on a well-run program. Summer program.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Great job. I've heard nothing but, especially during this unforeseen, forsaken time. They've done a great job bringing the community together as best as they can while practicing social distancing methods, and nothing but compliments from residents. So good job, team.
Absolutely.
Okay, cast your vote.
Councillor Mamchuk's mouse is on the loose again, I believe. Councillor Mamchuk, are you, oh, there we go. Thank you. Carried 5-0. Just needed to be a bit more patient.
I'm getting tired. Sorry about that, see, Mr. You.
Okay, it's all good. Okay, moving on to 10, correspondence. Nothing need to be discussed. Council has it in front of them. 12, adjournment. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Belanger.
Second,
Councilor
Mamchuk.
Pelletier.
Councillor Mamchuk. Any discussion? Do we want to keep this open until 10:01 so we have to move on to the next day for a council meeting?
No.
Okay, well, cast your vote.
Thank you. That is carried.
Thank you. Stop recording.